I am really getting behind this fire your friends idea, right? If you want to make a meaningful change in your life, you probably have to change your friend group. If you want to be a rock climber, get around rock climbers. You want to be a scuba diver, you want to be a millionaire, get around millionaires. I mean, you want six, it's all of that. It is so much, I can tell your life by your five friends. Why is everyone broke? Something I've been thinking about the last several weeks is why is everybody broke? And when I step back as an economist, as an accountant, as a financial engineer, I look at all of this and I go, why has everybody been broke for decades? When I look at the numbers and we talk about living paycheck to paycheck, you don't have $1,000 emergency fund, all the numbers appear horrible today, and they are. But I have news for you. They were horrible 5 years ago. They were horrible 10 years ago. They were horrible 20 years ago. So I got to ask my boys who have earned financial freedom, why is everybody broke? And more importantly, why is everybody broke all the time? This is crazy. Matt, we're going to go to you first on this. What the heck is going on?
I blame Apple.
You blame
It's
Apple.
It's the iPhone. The iPhone is why people are always broke. They are the first ones with the cell phone companies that made not having to buy a massively expensive phone the thing. You got the massively expensive phone for a payment. It wasn't your car, because people have been doing car financing for years and decades. It was your phone. That's what it was. That's
Interesting.
that's when society blew up, is because it no longer mattered that it was no longer a $200 phone. It was a $500 phone, an $800 phone, a $1,200 phone. None of us walk around with phones that cost anything less than 800 to $1,000. Think about that. 800 to $1,000. And the reason that we don't care when, oh, it dropped, it got a cracked screen, oh, this, oh, that. The reason that people don't really focus on that anymore is because everything is a payment. This device ruined how people buy things for eternity. This was what broke it.
That is really interesting because when you said Apple, that's not where I thought you would go. So you're basically saying we rationalize payments on expensive items, new expensive items, i.e., the car, everybody did, houses, everybody did, student loans, everybody did. But you're like, hey, this is now an everyday item, phone. It's $1,000 for round numbers. Let's just turn it into a $50 payment. And
Yep.
that is what ruined everyone.
Well,
Interesting. All right.
it went to it for a long time. They didn't have the everything plans. And so it was, 50, $60 for service and 50, $60 for the phone and then insurance on the phone. This became over $100 a month pretty quickly for a lot of people.
Wow.
And that was the gateway drug. Then it went to televisions. Then it went to furniture. Then it went to people that couldn't even get a credit card could buy a phone
Buy
and
now,
get
pay later. Yeah.
correct. And so that was the gateway
Wow.
drug. That's
Wow.
that's firmly what I believe. And actually what I've seen, because I study not the consumer like you do, but I study them I look at all the rental apps. I look at
Right.
their credit. I look at their spend. I look at their bank account. I look at everything. That's what I saw. I saw that one of their highest bills on a monthly basis was that bill.
With the phone. Wow. All
Yep.
right, Dan, what do you got? When I said this originally, why is everybody broke? I'm going to guess you didn't go to the iPhone when you first heard that, but it's an interesting twist.
No, I'm with Matt on the iPhone, right?
Yeah.
But the 10 years before that, it was the gaming computer.
Yep.
And then the 10 years before that, it was the muscle cars. And then the 10 years before that, it was the motorcycles. And then, so there's always been a generational thing of, there were people who said, don't let your kids read books. Look what it does to the posture of the neck. And now it's don't let your kid look at a phone because look what they're always looking down. They're not looking up. There's always a reason. So housing is exactly as affordable every single year for the last 100 years. I think we have this affordability index. This is when interest rates did this, but we introduced things like dual income households, 30-year loans, all of the things. It's always challenging, or everybody would own the house. Right. It's not easy to do anything. There's always just enough of a challenge to keep the competition to where that water is at its right level. And we can look back and go, this year was easier than this year, and next year is probably going to be easier than this year, but it's always going to be a challenge. So the people who take action, that's why 0.08, so an 8%, 80% of a percent reach financial freedom. People always talk about that 1%. They want to be in the 1%, and that's the people who make a certain amount. They're just as broke.
Oh, they are. I've worked with them. I look in
to work 60 hours a week. So I think the majority of people are always going to be broke. And it's not that we figured out that money is important. I don't think, and this you might not agree with me on this, but there are people out there who get into rock climbing, and they get into the 1% of rock climbers that can do the 9 level. Like they take it really, they practice the 7s and then they do the 9. And then there's people that can't do it too. Right? That person that reaches the 9 is in the circle of friends that reach the 9, and they talk about it, and it dominates their life, and they're talking about the competitions they're going to go to, the places they're going to travel to do this. There's the scuba divers that talk and get really into, I've got the $20,000 diving set for all over the world for wherever I go, and I ship it when I go there. We randomly chose finances as something that mattered in life. So we got our finances figured out, but there's other things that we will never have. Will we be the professional rock climber? Right now, Zuber, you're younger than me, but you're starting to do these marathons. That's super impressive. And you see the groups of people that you're doing it with, but you're like, wow, that person's at every one of these. Like in 2016, I did a mud wreckers, and you get around the people, and that's their life.
Yeah.
I wanted to surround myself with the money people, because once you have that time freedom, then figuring out those other things that matter to us can happen. But too many people focus on the non-money things first, and sometimes forever. And I think that means pretty much everybody, because you're talking less than 1% reach financial freedom. So over 99% are always going to be broke, no matter how much money they make. And I'll wrap up with, some people are so broke, all they have is money.
I like that. Yeah, because when I think about this question, and again, I've probably spent hours thinking about this, because, I interact with Danielle DiMartino Booth and other economists, right? At least via X and Twitter, and they're always posting numbers that are kind of negative or doomish, right? Again, 86% and 60, whatever it is, it's all nonsense. But I've gone back and looked at the last 5 years, the last decade. The numbers are roughly the same, right? It's not like this year is remarkably worse than 2018. It's not. We're just bad at money as a country. And in my circle, something I haven't talked about at all, there was somebody that was very important in my life, a neighbor's mom, actually. She just passed at like 92. So I went and saw her in the hospital right before she passed. And that experience got me around, the folks I grew up with, right? People on the street, right? I grew up, around 7 or 8 people. That's all I knew, because we didn't have phones back then, right? And they all were me, right? Nobody had money. We all, if you wanted to have money, you go get a job, or you help paint a fence or whatever. But, we're all 50-ish now. And it's remarkable the gap that has been created.
Yeah.
And when I think about my choices and all of theirs, because again, I don't associate anymore. I haven't talked to that friend group in probably 20 years, certainly 15 years, because it's just different. When I really sat back and, first thought about this woman who was important to me growing up, she was where I went to be safe, right? That's like that house. And if I was hungry, I went to that house because she would feed me. And it was delayed gratification. That was the big thing that I saw different, was I was willing to forego things. And all of those folks are still basically in the same street, in the same neighborhood, now living in their parents' homes. And it's to me, the biggest thing was delayed gratification. Now, maybe it is, like you say, the iPhone, right? They just all chose payments, and they're, enjoying life. And, maybe everybody finds the level. But if you want to be in the 0.8%, you got to have some delayed gratification. And I'm not talking delayed gratification for a week, month, or a year. I'm talking a decade. If you can live like that for a decade, I think your chances of being in the, better than 1% is pretty good. That was what caused all me to think about this, is why is everybody I'm around today freaking broke?
So one person that you and I really appreciate is Charlie Munger.
Yep.
And so he had a quote that was tweaked by somebody, but basically it was just replacing what he described as FOMO. It was basically, they just said, so they just essentially changed it to FOMO, and it said, FOMO is ruinous because it forces you into short-termism. If you only bought an investment because it went up, you'll be the first to panic when it inevitably goes down. Charlie Munger said, once someone will always be getting richer faster than you.
Yeah.
And I think that that's so true. We live in a society of FOMO. That's why it's like, keeping up with the Joneses, like they have different phrases for it. But I look at our lives and we lived really tight, well beyond when we needed to.
Oh, yeah.
Well beyond.
Yeah. Well beyond years past. Yeah. It's
to the point where we're so broken that we need to make an effort to break ourselves and be like, you can afford it. Just buy it.
Yeah. Dion, I think he's talking to you.
I think so. I think I should just go. I should tap the equity to go buy something.
Yeah, come on.
Go
take a real vacation. Go take a real vacation. Yeah. So
you've had the benefit of going to countries where, $2 or $3 a day as an income.
Yeah.
Has a happy person.
Yeah.
I see the face. Yep. There's the face.
Yes. Grateful people. Yes.
Yeah. It is Southeast Asia, Chile, Peru. I can keep going. There are lots of places where if you make $10 a day, you live like a king. And some of the poorest places I've been to, I think I had this epiphany a year ago when I did this month-long in Asia. They're the happiest people on the planet. It's a total mind fuck. It's crazy.
No, and
I
then something
I didn't know what else to say. So.
Something we're going to talk about in a future video, in Futureland, is I think most people are broke because of the missing season in the 4 seasons that you talked about in your daily financial update.
Yeah, I want to get to that because we're going to make time for that video today. Yeah. Let's go around one more time with each of us giving one more reason why we think everybody's broke. So, Matt, you went with the phone, the payment plan, the buy now, pay later. Dude, that buy now, pay later stuff's a problem. It doesn't show up on credit reports. That's a problem.
Big problem. Yeah. You have no idea how extended people are. But I think the other piece to it is really just the age-old, the old-fashioned keeping up with the Joneses. Yeah. If you can keep FOMO at bay, you'll be a wealthy person. I mean, this is the hardest thing, right? And don't cry for me, but literally wanted to go, I'm shopping for a Lamborghini. Been shopping for a year and a half. The problem is knowing that I can pull the trigger anytime I want and not think about it. That's a problem because I'm fighting with everything that I have to hold out for an amazing deal. And I've proven to myself that I will buy. I bought my house for an amazing deal. It's worth double what I paid for it just a few years ago. And not just because the price increases, but I look at that and I waited and I waited and I waited and I was in and I was shopping and I said no to 1,000 before I said yes to 1. And so I think far too often people don't say no to the 1,000 and they quickly get, 4 in and they're like, kind of tired of shopping. Let's do this thing.
Yeah. I'll just take the next one.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is like, you look at cars that people are driving now. I look in the lots when I go to pick up rents in some of the cases where I go to pick up rents and they all drive a nicer car than me. All of them, every single one of them. And that's one of those big things where, I remember Dion when I first saw his truck. What was that called?
The compensator.
The compensator. That's the one. So when I first saw the compensator, I was like, dude spent some money. Like he bought a truck and then put the word compensator on it. Like it's impressive. But again, I look at that and it was just like, and thankfully I've now reshaped and rebroken myself enough where I could actually buy a nice truck. I bought myself a nice trailer, because I needed it for the company and for growth. So it was still, a little bit broken, but let's not go crazy. But that was the thing. I think FOMO really is the thing. I really do. I think if people could just be comfortable with what you have, contentment, not contempt, but contentment, be happy with what you have. You have more than most.
Yeah. That definitely when you zoom out, like Dion was talking about to other parts of the world. Yeah. Sure. The poorest person in the US has more than most across the country. It's pretty wild to think about. Dion, what's your second last one?
So the most common question with the compensator, Matt, was how do you get in? Because it had to tuck away rails. Yeah. So when it was doors closed, it looked like it, it's 3.5.
It looked like you were hiking yourself up for a shoulder.
I would just say a rope ladder drops out, but you open it and the steps stop. Okay, so I've got 2 things to wrap up with here. One is why I think everybody's broke. The second is actionable. So the first thing is it's because we make it easy to spend money, right? Yes.
That's a good
we
one.
we decide as a society it's hard to get gold, so gold has value. It takes this much time to get it. So we say we're going to back gold with paper. We actually came out with a law that says the United States will back its money with gold. So the world started buying American currency. And then in 1933, the 1602 law came out and we said, you can't have gold. It's illegal to hoard gold. So we're going to make the value of paper go up. And then in 1971, we said, we lied. We're not going to back our money with gold. So now it's just fiat currency because it's too hard to get gold. So we need to make it easier to spend money. So inflation starts. But money is inconvenient. Right? You can get robbed, it can get stolen, so we go, hey, here's a debit card that's tied right to your bank. You can write checks. Well, that's not even good because you have to have that money. Here's a credit card so you can spend next week's money. And then, that credit card's not good because that charges interest. Let's do buy now, pay later, which becomes pay late. And then you pay all the interest. So we keep making it easier and easier and easier to spend money so people do.
I like it.
And then here's the actionable. The people who aren't broke are the ones who plan for decades instead of weekends.
I love that. Yeah. So the last one I'll throw out there just to close, and then we'll get into the missing season because I'm intrigued, is your friends. I am really getting behind this fire your friends idea, right? If you want to make a meaningful change in your life, you probably have to change your friend group. If you want to be a rock climber, get around rock climbers. You want to be a scuba diver, you want to be a millionaire, get around millionaires. I mean, you want it's all of that. It is so much, I can tell your life by your 5 friends. So at the end of the day, I'm glad that these 2 guys are in my 5 because it just makes the world better when you have friends like this. Matt, where can they find you?
Well, first of all, Dan and I would like to thank you for leaving us in the top 5. We weren't sure that we were going to make this cut. So we're excited. We're excited about that. That's a good thing for us. We really enjoy your friendship and the time with you. But you can find me.
Hold on. Shame on me if you guys didn't know that. Shame on me if you didn't know.
You think I have other group texts with other people? We've seen how I handle texting. It's not good.
Not for long. You don't.
Exactly. Yeah. Acquaintances at best. But Lumberjack Landlord, YouTube and Instagram, check me out.
Dion?
Right here on YouTube, Dion Talk Financial Freedom. And I agree with the 5 people that you hang out and spend the most time with. And it's not just because you're hanging out with them. Right, Zuber, you've said we're in your top 5, we're in your friend zone, right?
Right.
It's a cone. It's a circle that gets smaller and smaller. And those friends that do things that you don't like and don't approve of get pushed out of the cone.
Absolutely.
And so if you're around the people that have done the things you want to do, you're more likely to continue doing those same things and stay in that millionaire club if you're around the people that are also doing that.
Amen. Guys, you're amazing. Next up, the season I'm missing. I can't wait. Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Ciao.